Jenai is the co-founder of the multi-million-dollar CrossFit enterprise, which continues to pioneer the health and wellness industry. Now a female powerhouse, the story of how she fell in love with fitness is both inspiring and all too relatable. Growing up, Lauren always thought of herself as unathletic, but in her late 20s, she would be at her local gym every day by 5 a.m., creating a consistent habit. Walking on the treadmill, cycling, and lifting a few weights were her routine. But not all workouts are made equal. However, and for all her early mornings, Lauren had yet to witness any results. Sound familiar to you? Well, when her
It does.
ex-husband when her ex-husband Greg Glassman, the other co-founder of CrossFit, came to town as an innovative personal trainer, here's where Lauren's passion was sparked. His training sessions with Lauren became the predecessor for what we now know as CrossFit, the high-intensity mixed training that is found everywhere in CrossFit gyms throughout the nation. Finally, Lauren found a workout that made her body feel awake and alive. And all of Lauren's endeavors have been with one idea in mind: give people the resources and opportunity to be self-reliant. After all, her story followed a similar path, and now she is a model businesswoman, fitness expert, and mother of 4. So ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome fitness extraordinaire and the co-founder of the global phenomenon CrossFit, Lauren Jenai. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Well, what are some great ways to get people motivated to be fit?
That is probably the essential question. Without the correct motivation, it's never going to happen. And I think for a lot of people, being honest and real about what they want and not maybe what somebody else expects them to be or have for their health and fitness, people it has to be truly intrinsic in them that they want this. It has to be something they want. And so I think it's important for folks to just really dig deep and figure out what that is and lock onto it as a beacon that they are going to achieve at all costs. And once you kind of tie those dots, those pieces together, then it's just tiny baby steps along the way.
Well, what motivated you?
Different things throughout my life, honestly. And I think that's another key point is goals change. Expectations for ourselves change over a lifetime. And, initially I was always a kind of fat kid. Like you said earlier, I was not athletic at all. And just didn't really think that was possible for me for some reason, just the way I was brought up. And I think initially was motivated by I didn't want to be fat and I wanted to feel comfortable in my skin, and I wanted to be physically capable to, be a human, a successful human in life. So, and physical fitness is key to that.
Well, then, and I know you've talked to thousands of people across this nation, and as big as CrossFit has become, it's even part of people's conversations. And but for you, with all of the people that you have worked with and talked to, why do people struggle with just starting a fitness program?
Again, you're hitting such great points here. Getting started is the hardest part. And I believe that it's because it's hard for people to really break down the process and accept that it's going to take time. And it's the little steps, the little wins, the little progresses that matter. And the thing with changing your health or fitness, it's never going to happen overnight. We are a quick fix community, people who want things done. So if you, and also if you understand human behavior, if you don't see the results right away, it's hard to tie what you did to the ultimate result. And so it's overwhelming for a lot of people to get started. And that's something that I started struggling with a lot as I got older in life, is even everything I know and my expertise and my experience, sometimes for me, it's hard to get started back into a routine, a fitness, health and fitness routine. And, but I think that the key thing again is to have that strong desire and goal and understand you really have to cherish the baby steps, showing up. That's the biggest thing. Getting started is easy as showing up, whatever that means, whether it's going to a gym, starting a new class, fitness class, or picking up some dumbbells at your house. If you did more today than you did yesterday, you really have to celebrate those little things and understand that where you want to be is going to take time. And that consistency is going to be the thing that gets you there. So if you can, kind of break down, like, okay, you're not going to be perfectly fit in 3 months, but you're going to be a lot better in 3 months than you are today. And that's, that's what you have to lock onto.
Well, when you started for you, when you started your fitness routine, how far into it did you realize that nutrition played a big role in fitness?
Oh, honestly, initially, this is another great conversation. I probably got more motivated because of nutrition than I did exercise in the beginning, because that is a way for you to have some instant feedback. I had grown up vegetarian, and through my, like, in the 80s and early 90s, the trends in health in terms of nutrition were low fat. That's how you cut the fat out of your diet. And so I had some success doing that. And it was kind of like, oh, okay, this is what works, because, I did something different in my diet and I lost some weight. I know over now that there's so many things at play there. But I think that, and this is something my ex-husband and I talked about a lot, like, if you had to pick one, nutrition or fitness, what's more important? And he always went to the fitness and I always went to the nutrition.
I agree with
And
you.
I mean, I'm not 100% saying that's right. I just know that you can make some really outstanding changes to your health and fitness, actually, just through what you put in your body.
That's right. That's right. Well, I know we have a very big problem in this country with body dysmorphia. How does that play a
Yes.
role in fitness?
Wow. I think it plays a role in society and life. Because I grew up, and I'll just relate this to me because it's probably relatable to a lot of people. I grew up with poor body image as a child, and that's hard to combat. And I found myself in places where, after I had my two girls and then I had twin babies, it was a very hard pregnancy, and I lost a lot of weight after. I generally run around 145, 150 pounds. I was like 116 pounds and didn't realize that I was skinny. I would go to stores and people would bring me clothes that were like extra smalls. I'm like, no, I'm a medium. They're like, are you okay? and it was like, it hit me. There's like, wow, body dysmorphia is a real thing. And yeah, I think we're influenced by advertisement, entertainment industry, to be this perfect, have this perfect physique. And when we look at ourselves naked in the mirror at home, none of us have that. Most people don't. And it's discouraging because you want something that's almost unattainable.
Right. And that really kind of brings me to my next question. For you, when you're talking, especially you're talking to women, how damaging is Instagram to a person mentally?
So here's how I feel about that. I think the entertainment industry glorifying beautiful bodies is great. Like, I don't have a problem with that. I think the problem comes when, we teach our children that's important. Like, one of the things my mom really instilled in me is, like, it's not important. How you look isn't important. And maybe to an extreme on the other side, she instilled that on me. But, if Instagram is promoting this or that body image, we should, as women in particular, have enough self-confidence and knowledge that it doesn't affect us negatively. I see it as a form of entertainment. You know, we're going to see, you know, that stuff on TV and movies. It's all around us, and there's no getting away from it. So I think it's a matter of teaching young women um, and reteaching older women that it's
Yeah.
entertainment. Don't take it seriously, and don't compare. So I don't compare yourself to other people is one
Right.
of the other things that I think is so important. I practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and it's an amazing process progressing in that sport because we're, we're so competitive, especially for me, like coming from CrossFit. It's like I'm a competitive person and always comparing myself to other people, kind of trained to be like that. And in jujitsu, you can't. Everybody's in that for a different purpose. Everybody has strengths and weaknesses. And I guess this is true of everything in life, and maybe we should all see it. But jujitsu taught me to just go, don't compare yourself to anybody else. This is your journey. And I think
Yeah.
that goes back to another thing that discourages people in terms of getting started and doing things. They're like, oh, I can never be as good as so and so, or oh, this. Don't worry about so and so.
That's
Be
right.
you.
It's not their journey is not your journey.
Exactly. And in
And
anything.
yeah, and I agree with you. You take small steps and you will see improvement. It will come. You know, you don't rush it, and stay consistent. Stay faithful to the routine, stay consistent with the nutrition, and you will see the changes. Now, you are known as the co-founder of CrossFit. So what impacts do you think you achieved in your success with CrossFit?
In terms of my impact
Yeah. Yeah.
in
What
the company,
impacts do you think you achieved in your success with CrossFit?
I think that my ex-husband, Greg Glassman, and I were a very unique combination of personalities and skill sets that allowed us to attain a lot of success. He's very much a talkative person and a charisma. Like you get around Greg and you're going to listen to him, you know, and he's highly intelligent and he had this fitness background. But what I brought to the table in that was also practicality and a heart. This one of the things that other people have told me is like you are the heart of CrossFit in a lot of ways. And what that meant is I took something, Greg and I took something that was, we were just two trainers and diligently and ruthlessly, maybe that's the wrong word, um, worked towards an end, which was to help as many people as possible. And I think that tenacious, ruthless was the wrong word, tenacious, the tenacity. I'm extremely tenacious. And, you know, I think that it was one of the major contributors to our success is like we might fall down, we might make mistakes in this business and its growth, but we're going to get back up. We're going to go in another direction slowly, step by step, organically, in a way that helps and embraces as many people as possible.
Were you shocked or amazed that of the growth of CrossFit, not only across the country, but even across the globe?
So this is a thing that Greg and I laugh about as well, because people ask that question to both of us. You know, were you surprised? And he always says she wasn't. He was surprised. I always knew that I didn't know what it would look like in the beginning. You know, I didn't know what the blossoming CrossFit would be, but I knew it would be huge because I knew the impact that we had on people. Just even in a small scale. Like when we were working out of Gold's Gym in Santa Cruz, the impact we had on people's lives, those few people, was life altering, you know, like over a couple hundred people, you know, in the beginning. And then if you can do that, you can do it again and again. And the only barriers there are business models and, you know, promotion and all the other fluff that comes with business. If you have a formula that works and that helps people, it changes people's lives. It gets their passion. It creates passion. You can't go wrong unless you quit. And that was a thing, like I go back to tenacity, like Greg and I, we both committed that we would never stop doing what we were doing, even if we never made money, because it's that important.
Well, what made CrossFit so different? Because I know when people would do, let's say, a normal fitness routine, they would go to the gym, probably lift weights first, try to build and get stronger, and then end their workout with some cardio or maybe do yoga before or after. What made CrossFit so different?
There's a lot of answers to that, but just the one that jumped in my head um, is it actually was our first CrossFit certification seminar. Was with a couple people from I'm going to forget the details because I'm old, a police department in Florida. But it was an older man, highly decorated in the LEO community. And we had put him through several workouts in the course of this seminar. And I think it was at dinner or something after. He goes, Greg, Lauren, he has this thick Southern accent. I called my wife and I told her I tasted blood in my mouth for the first time since I was in the army or whatever in its early days. I think and honestly for me, it was like the workouts were so intense and they draw upon like internal fortitude, and it's inspiring and engaging and I think, because of the combination of high intensity weightlifting and high intensity cardio, it literally is creating endorphins and, a hormonal change that not only helps promote losing body fat and gaining muscle, but also better mental health. And so I think that people felt more alive. Um, just doing a CrossFit workout, you felt more alive and empowered.
And it
And
really
then,
pushed people not only to their limit, but for a lot of people, it kind of pushed them beyond what they thought they were capable of, correct?
yeah, and this goes back again to, why people have a hard time getting started in fitness programs. Often they don't get results. It's not working for them because they're not doing the right thing for them. CrossFit, you get results. If you do it, you're going to get results, and they're rather quick. So you see changes, you feel changes right away, and so that's going to make it more addictive in a way. Going back to human behaviors, like is that the closer you are to that reward, the stimulus and the reward, the more sticky that event will be, and the more likely you will to repeat it.
Yeah, because like you said, the endorphins, the dopamine, the moment you're done, a lot of people can't wait to do it again the next day.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about CrossFit is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's a type of workout that you don't get bored with. Correct?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's definitely key. That's definitely a key element. Like I said, I think there's a lot of aspects that make people so drawn to CrossFit workouts, but it's not boring.
Definitely not that. Now for you, what is your daily workout routine now?
So as I got older and have kids, and honestly, probably some of the emotional baggage that I went through with, losing the company and not being a part of it and all of that. The whole idea of working out like that doesn't appeal to me personally. So I practice jujitsu, and I've started to enjoy yoga, and things that help my body. Jiu-jitsu is pretty hard on your body as a 51-year-old woman, but yoga and things that kind of, help me maintain, pliability and mobility and ability to do the physical things I need to do on a day-to-day basis. And I think the thing with jiu-jitsu that kind of fills a lot of the gaps that CrossFit I don't have because I'm not doing CrossFit is the mental challenges. And it is high intensity and very physical. So there's a lot of similarities. It's just I like feeling like I'm building a skill that's practical in life, on top of keeping me in shape.
Yeah, because like now, jujitsu would be what? Creating more flexibility, more so than CrossFit? Because CrossFit's more for what, muscle building?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Well,
CrossFit's definitely a combination of weightlifting, and honestly, weightlifters are some of the most flexible, professional Olympic weightlifters. The flexibility required to do that is outstanding, is incredible. And we mix in gymnastics. You must be flexible to do gymnastics. So I think there's some misconceptions about CrossFit workouts, but I mean, it's a good CrossFit athlete is going to be very flexible.
well, that's good to know because I know as we get older, flexibility is extremely important. So now we're going in to the winter months. What can someone do to maintain fitness if they do not have access to a gym? And are there any simple things they can do at home?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, the roots of CrossFit workouts are involve functional movements that mimic real life activity. And so for, some really low barrier to entry kind of exercise, mimicking the functional things we do, like sitting down, standing up, it's a squat, putting things up overhead presses, picking things up from the ground, deadlifts. You can mimic those, or pushing things away this way, push-ups. You can mimic moves you would do in the gym at home easily. And whether you use odd objects, fill up gallons, milk jugs with water or sand and use those, or you invest in some dumbbells. There's a lot of things. Installing a pull-up bar at home. I'm a big fan of the mobility bands. You can wrap around the pull-up bars, and you can do a lot of not strength building movements as well as mobility movements. So with a small budget, or just using the stuff you have at the house, you can absolutely incorporate workouts. I mean, I think the challenge there is like, don't let life get in the way, and you have to structure your day and time to make it happen. But absolutely, and talk about winter in Portland. It's horrible here. The days are so short. I don't even want to go outside. So I definitely am a fan of, doing stuff at home in the winter.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Now, with all of the focus on fitness in the media, why are two-thirds of adults overweight in this country?
Um, Misconceptions, misinformation about food, I think would be the biggest contributor. We are sold a bill of goods so many times and so much in how advertisers promote their products. In the, like, talking about the low fat of the 80s and 90s. I mean, it's still there. Like, you box of Cheerios, heart healthy. So if you don't question that, you're likely to get, your doctor might even recommend it if you have high cholesterol or whatever. Eat Cheerios, it's heart healthy. And honestly, that is one of the biggest contributors to obesity. Is this misconception about if a food, this demonization, let's say, of fats and proteins, and a glorification of carbohydrates, because carbohydrates have a lower caloric, they have less calories per mass than fats and proteins. So
Yeah,
for some reason,
yeah, it's
somebody,
4 calories per carb versus nine
yeah, yeah,
calories
yeah,
per fat.
and it's not that simple. It's maintaining a healthy weight or body mass index. It's not just about reducing or keeping calories under check. There's a whole myriad of other issues. Most importantly, the hormonal impact of the food you eat, and that entails eating fats and proteins. And even after, Greg and I in CrossFit and the community has changed the way people see nutrition pretty. You see people eating ketogenic diets, and you're hearing other things that are out there, but still, the general knowledge is jaw-droppingly surprising to me. Still, I have friends who know me and have been around me, and they say, "Oh, it's healthier to eat this fish than that steak," or these misconceptions of, "Oh, that's got to be healthier because there's less fat in it," and it's so confusing for people because they think they're doing the right thing a lot of the times,
Yeah,
and they're
and
still getting fatter.
exactly. I mean, I taught a health class once and I was stunned by questions afterwards that I thought we were all past uh, and done with. People till this day have no clue what real nutrition is. And I tell people, you're going to go to the grocery store to go buy your food, then stay on the outside perimeter.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
produce department, meat department, and forget everything inside that aisle unless you're buying toilet paper, because other than that, you don't need to be eating it, because that's where weight gain lives, is in the center of a supermarket, and those foods are not healthy. I mean, did you ever jump on any type of nutrition bandwagon like keto, for example?
Oh, so I've, in my path in health and fitness, I have experimented with probably every diet there is. Just, to be an expert and to be able to guide people, you need to know what you're dealing with. Like I said, I was a vegetarian as a child, probably by age 11, I was a vegetarian, and then I became a vegan. And actually, I was vegetarian up until I met Greg, and changed my diet and had these epiphanies of my, where I could go with my health and fitness. Very much inspired by the nutritional aspect, which was introducing proteins, more animal proteins and fats into my diet. It was a night and day difference for me. And then, the foundations of nutrition, which I think is often underestimated in what CrossFit is, because it is so based on how you feed your body, how you feed your athlete. And, you know, I spent a lot of time studying um, Dr. Sears, who wrote The Zone, and the Eads, oh God, his name's the forefather of the keto diet, Atkins
Atkins,
diet.
yeah, and he did it wrong.
Well, he did and he didn't. He contributed though
Yeah,
to the
he
pool
did.
of knowledge. And so I embraced and submerged myself, I should say, into the knowledge base of the nutrition world. I've read everything. I've experimented with everything, and I think that there's no right and wrong per se. It's really about an individual and what their specific goals are. So the ketogenic diet may be perfect for some people, and it might be perfectly wrong for other people. So it really depends. You have to understand what works and why it works, and match that to your health and fitness goals.
Yeah, I
So I think,
completely agree. Yeah,
yeah, I think
and
getting on a bandwagon of a diet is bad for other reasons. I think it's just it perpetuates this thing that, like, oh, I have to deprive myself of something, or you know
yes, and that's the number one thing about the word diet. If you're going to go on a diet, people don't think about what they can eat. They think about what they can't eat. And so now they're on a program that already started off as a mental negative.
as a failure. They're setting themselves up for failure
Yeah,
a lot of times.
exactly.
And this is the problem again with people gaining weight. It's actually um, pretty a severe problem. Like, if you try to do something, did we get cut off?
No.
Okay. If you try to do something and fail repeatedly, you end up in this state of learned helplessness, it's actually called. And I think a lot of dieters, they do diligently do their diets, but they're on diets that don't work for them, and they fail. And so not only are you setting yourself up because you're going to be depriving yourself of such and such, but also if you've done this over and over and failed, it's a horrible experience. It's a horrible mental place to be. And so it doesn't work. And I think we just really need to change the narrative around how we eat. I mean, the truth is we're all on a diet,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. We are. And I always try to tell people to make it better. You're not creating a diet. You need to create a lifestyle. And you've said a lot of important things. We need to create a lifestyle that works for us individually. Some people
Yes.
do great being a vegan. Some do great being a vegetarian. Like you said, some people, keto works for them. Some people, the Mediterranean diet. They just need to find something that they can focus on as being a lifestyle and not have it basically stare them down in the face every single day. And I think that's why people fail in their diets, because it's in their face when they wake up, it's in their face when they go to bed, and they need to be adding exercise in that area. So yeah, you have given us some strong wisdom today, Lauren. And I want to ask you, how do we keep the next generation physically fit without creating body issues?
Well, I think that it goes to, and I think this is actually a really important point. I don't know how to do it, but I think if we were able to actually teach the truth about nutrition in schools, or even as parents, really instilling in children and not telling them what to eat and what not to eat, but letting them know the impact of what they eat and empowering them with that. Like my kids, I've never been one to say you can't have this or you can't have that. My kids, I've also exposed them to wonderful foods, and they gravitate towards the foods that are healthier. I mean, they love their candy and chips and sodas, diet sodas. They don't drink regular sodas, but and instilling like this is your choice, your body, and not trying to make it be like it's your choice, it's your body, you're going to eat, not you better do this or you should do this. It's going back to the creating an environment where children are self-empowered to make choices for themselves and feel good about those choices and have fun and be kids and eat junk food when they want to and take the pressure off kids and don't have high expectations. I've got 4 teenagers right now, and their bodies go through so much. They gain weight, they lose weight, and weird parents could be like, oh, my daughter just, she's getting fat, and you make a deal of it or ignore it. And like, she's going to grow out of it. She's growing.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
parents,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
kids need to be kids, and any type of, go outside and run around. There's more exercise playing out in the yard than there is sitting in front of a video game. So
Well, and I think yes, encouraging the physical activity. Like that's one thing all my kids, luckily love jujitsu. They all compete in it. They love it. Helping your kids find what they love to do physically is going to be key to combating, the problems of obesity and poor health with our kids. I do insist that they participate in physical activity. That's one thing I do because, like you said, if like a lot of kids, they will sit in front of the TV or video, and that's all they'll do.
yeah, and that's all they will do. Well, what is next for Lauren Janai?
Well, I mean, like I said, I have 4 teenagers, and I'm a single mom. Right now, I'm very much focusing on being a mom. I'm homeschooling my boys, and my girls are on online school, so it's a lot of work. But I previously started another company called Manifest, which basically deals with all these things that we've been talking about, like how to help people who are struggling with their health and fitness get on track. And when COVID happened and life got a little bit crazy, I just put all that on a back burner because I felt I was spread too thin. But there's going to be more from Manifest, probably in a different format and probably in a more of a free form, where I really want to get people involved and a conversation happening where people can talk about all these struggles and issues, and we can figure out the best way to help people get over that hard first step of getting started and how to stay on track
I
and
love that.
how to
I
combat
love
the problems of obesity, diabetes, heart disease. I mean, it's compatible. We just got
That's
to teach
right.
people how to do it.
Yeah, we can, those are areas in which we can work to prevent, and a lot of times we can work to reverse them. And you heard
Yep.
that here, ladies and gentlemen. You know how I am when it comes to heart disease, diabetes, and even for those of you that are dealing with obesity or just being overweight, there are things we can do. And Lauren, keep on keeping on shouting the message of fitness and wellness. And how can all of my viewers and listeners connect with you?
Um, actually probably the best way is through Manifest has a Facebook page. I have a personal Facebook page. That's probably the best way.
All right. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on to the program today.
Thank you. It was fun.
It is. And ladies and gentlemen, remember nutrition, fitness, be active, stay active. And like Lauren said, look, it just takes that first step. Some of
Yep.
you, it seems scary, but it really isn't. And for those of you who've never been to a gym before, hey, get a friend and have you both go together and support one another, because there are things that you're going to see change in your body, in your life, even in your mental capacity. You will feel so much better when you start to move. So take it from Lauren and I, take that first step, because every step that you take, things are going to change and get better. And as for me, I will be right back with more.